welcome to another Happy Histories with Michael video, and we are now in the heart of the City of London, and I've brought you to St Mary's Woolnoth. There's been a place of worship here since Saxon times. Like a lot of churches in the city, it was damaged during the Great Fire of London, but an assistant, an apprentice if you like, of Sir Christopher Wren, Nicholas Hawksmoor, he rebuilt this church, and you can see its style is very distinctive. Nicholas Hawksmoor, you see his churches, they're very different. The reason that I brought you here for Happy Histories is to commemorate a clergyman who served here for a number of years. His name was John Newton. Now, John Newton had a fascinating history. In his youth, he was a mariner, and he was involved in the slave trade, doing this triangular journey, carrying slaves from Africa to the Americas, and then taking goods back to Liverpool and going back and forth. But he had an amazing history as a mariner. At one point, actually on his epitaph, on his grave, it actually says, "Once an infidel, a libertine, and a servant of slaves in Africa," because he was actually captured by Africans and he served as a slave to Princess Paya of a particular group there. But he managed to free himself, and I don't know whether it was before he became a slave or afterwards, but he was also pressed into the Royal Navy, and he actually made steps and he actually became a midshipman, but he wasn't happy as a mariner, and he tried to escape, but he was busted down to seaman and he was publicly flogged. And at that time, in a Great Depression, he contemplated killing the captain of the ship and taking his own life. But he recovered and he went back to seafaring, carrying slaves backwards and forth, until at one point he was sailing off the coast of Donegal and he was caught in an amazing storm, and he prayed fervently to God to save him, and he promised to mend his ways, and he was saved, and he did mend his ways, and he gave up the slave trade, and he became a clergyman in the Church of England. But he was a kind of a non-denominational person, and he was famous for the power of his oratory. And in fact, he served as a clergyman in the countryside. And actually at the church where he was, they had to build in extra pews because people were drawn to him. I suppose it was his life experience that they were drawn to. And also clergymen who were having a crisis of faith would go for him for pastoral care. And one person who went to him was William Wilberforce. And William Wilberforce has had a religious conversion, but he was also involved in politics, and he felt the two were clashing. But actually John Newton said to him, "Look, William, stay where you are. You can probably do more good in Parliament than out of it." And of course, as we know, William Wilberforce was a great abolitionist, and he got together a group of like-minded clergymen and lay people, and they formed what's called the Clapham sect, and they were pivotal in the abolition of the slave trade. And actually John Newton, he saw the abolition of the slave trade 2 years before his death. Now, one of the things I like about him, because in Sierra Leone there is a town named after him, Newton Town, and also he is in the Religious Music Hall of Fame, because of course he wrote the famous song Amazing Grace whilst he was serving here, and he wrote numerous other hymns as well. So if you come here, you know, be sure and pay a visit. Unfortunately it's closed at the moment, but they've got a little coffee shop here, and you know, just look online and make sure that you're not disappointed. Okay, thank you very much. Please like and subscribe. Okay, and we are still in the centre of London. We're just spitting distance from St Mary Woolnoth, the church of Reverend John Newton. And I brought you here to this sculpture, this work of art here. And this was made by a chap called Michael Visocci. And it was opened to the general public by none other than Bishop Desmond Tutu in 2007, and it was opened to commemorate the abolition of the slave trade. And it's kind of a conjunction. We have this pulpit here, which could be the pulpit of St Mary's Woolnoth, where John Newton spoke against the evils of the trade, or it could be an auctioneer stand where somebody is selling slaves to the general public in the West Indies. Or it could be somewhere in a stock exchange where people are buying and selling gilts and stocks and shares. Now, so there's the pulpit here, and over here we have these upright pillars, which in fact represent sugarcane, because this was the cash crop that kept the slave trade going. And on the stalks of sugarcane, there are words engraved, and these are words from a poem by Mr. Sesse, Michael Sesse, Lem Sesse, and he wrote this poem, and the poem is a kind of a play on words, because this is the centre of the financial capital of England, and anyway, I shall do my best to read the poem. Remember, it's a play on words. So we have Cain from Cain slew his brother Abel. But sugar cane was what was sold by the traders. We have gilts. And this is talking about the gilt of Cain. But gilts were sold in the markets and the banks here in London. Talks about stocks, which were bought and sold. But stocks, slaves were held in stocks. So let me read the poem to you. So The Gilt of Cain by Lem Sesse. Here is the ask price on the closed position. History is no inherited acquisition. For here the technical correction of the act, a merger of truth and in actual fact, on the spot, on the money, the spread. The dealer lied when the dealer said the bull was charging, the bear is dead. The market must calculate per capita, not per head. And great traders acting in concert, arms raised as the actuals fought on the sea of franchise, thrown overboard into the exchange to drown, in distressed brokers, disconsolate frown. In accounting liquidity is a mounting morbidity, but raising the arm with such rigid rapidity, oh the reaping, the raping, capacious fluidity, the violence, the vicious and vexed volatility. The roaring trade floor rises above crashing waves, the traders buy ships beneath the slaves. Cut back the sugar cane rush cane. The whip saw it all, and the whip saw it all. Who'll enter Jerusalem? Make the margin call for Abel, who'll kick over the stalls and turn the table. Cain gathers Cain as gilt gift to his land, but whose sword of truth shall not sleep in hand? Who shall unlock the stocks and share, break the bond and bind unbound, lay bare the truth? Cash flows run deep, but spirit deeper. You ask, am I my brother's keeper? I answer, by nature, by spirit, by rightful law. My name, my brother, Wilberforce. It's quite a deep poem with lots of double meanings and so forth. Slavery has been abolished, but the stock market is in a panic at the moment because, of course, Labour was shifted to the east, and we availed of cheap labour in the east, and now Donald Trump is throwing everything upside down. We think things change, but not necessarily. Anyway, this is a fine sculpture and well worth a visit. It's hidden behind in little alleyways. It's a little bit difficult to find, but if you come to London, try and pay your respects here. Okay, thank you for watching.